A military-grade rifle was stolen from federal agents on a Minneapolis street in broad daylight. Minnesota's own investigators were blocked from investigating a fatal shooting in their own city. And right now, locals on Reddit are telling newcomers to carry a passport just to drive around town. Meanwhile, the tourism board says the city is thriving, and city officials say crime is down. So who's actually telling you the truth? Stick with me for the next 12 minutes because I'm going to show you both sides of this story, neighborhood by neighborhood, number by number, what's happening on the ground right now in early 2026. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what kind of city you are actually moving to. Hi, my name is Steve, a local realtor. I live here, I work here, I help people relocate to the Twin Cities every month. And if there's one question I hear more than any other, it's this: is it safe? My answer has always been consistent. The reality is more nuanced than the headlines on either side make it seem. This isn't going to be a sales pitch, and it's not going to be fear-based either. I'm simply going to walk you through what the data actually says, what's happening on the ground right now in early 26. And what it means for you specifically if you're considering a move here. Let's start with the part that most doom and gloom headlines leave out. According to year-end reports from the Minneapolis Police Department, violent crime has decreased for 3 consecutive years. That's not a short-term dip. That's not a one-quarter anomaly. That's a sustained trend. Nationally, 2025 saw homicides drop by 21% and carjacking fall by 43% across all major cities. Minneapolis followed that same trajectory. In fact, in certain categories, especially carjacking, the decline here has been significant compared to the peak years. And that matters. Because if you're watching national media between 2020 and 2022, you saw Minneapolis at its worst moments in generations. The spike in crime was real, the instability was real, the fear people felt was real. But what's also real is the correction. A lot of that turnaround has happened under Chief Brian O'Hara, and whether you are politically left, right, or somewhere in between, most people across the spectrum agree on this. He's doing difficult work in a difficult environment with limited staffing. And yet, under his leadership, major violent crimes have been trending downwards. That's not spin, that's the data. So yes, we are improving, but we haven't returned to the pre-spike levels, and that distinction matters. Let me explain it this way. Imagine your bank account had $1,000 in 2018, then crashed down to $400, and now it's back up to $600. That's actual real progress. You'd feel relieved, but you're not back where you started, and you shouldn't pretend that you are. That's the space Minneapolis is in right now. Improvement, not restoration. Now, here's the part that hits people in the gut. Response time. In 2020, the average response time for high priority 911 calls was around 6 minutes. In 2025, 8 minutes, 29 seconds. It's not catastrophic, but in an emergency, 2.5 minutes can feel like a lifetime. Staffing. In 2019, the Minneapolis Police Department had about 920 officers. By 2024, that number dropped to around 560. And right now it's hovering around 588. That's roughly 125 officers below the city's chartered mandate of 713. Former Deputy Chief Gregory Hessness publicly called the situation unsustainable. As of February 26, the department had already burned through its entire 2026 overtime budget. That's not a political statement, that's the math. And here's the thing. The staffing crisis didn't happen in a vacuum. Something happened in January 2026 that changed the entire conversation, and almost nobody outside of Minnesota is talking about it. On January 7, 2026, agents with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, commonly known as ICE, were conducting an operation on a Minneapolis city street. And during the operation, a woman named Renee Nicole Good was fatally shot. Whenever a fatal officer-involved shooting happens in Minnesota, there's a standard protocol. Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the BCA, investigates. That's normal. That's how transparency works. But in this case, according to state officials, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, blocked access to certain evidence. So the BCA withdrew from the investigation in protest. What this means: Minnesota's own state investigators could not fully investigate a fatal shooting that happened on Minnesota's soil. When does that happen? For many residents, this was when the conversation shifted from crime trends to something bigger. Now let's shift from policy to street level. Lake Street and Carmel Mall. If you are not from here, just know this. These aren't random places. They're culturally significant corridors, vibrant, busy, small businesses, and community anchors. Communities are adjusting their daily routines, not because of gangs, but because of a federal presence. Whether someone supports that enforcement or opposes it is not the point here. The point is it introduced a new variable into the city's stability equation, one that didn't exist at this level before. And then 1 week later, on January 14th, during an unrest following a federal arrest operation in North Minneapolis, an FBI vehicle was broken into and an M16A1 military-grade rifle was stolen from the federal agents by a suspect named Raul Gutierrez, who has since been charged. Just imagine a military-grade rifle loose on the city 6 weeks ago. That detail alone changed how many residents felt, regardless of where they felt politically. It wasn't just about crime rates anymore. It was more about unpredictability. And then we see the social ripple effects on Reddit in the Twin Cities right now. Locals are telling newcomers, carry a passport, proof of citizenship when driving, just because of that federal highway enforcement activities. I'm not talking history. This is the reality of Minnesota in 2026. Now, before you close this tab and cancel your moving plans, I need you to hear the next part. Because this city is not one thing. It never has been. And where you land in the Twin Cities matter more than any of the statistics I just threw at you. Here's what I tell every single relocating client. Citywide crime rates are almost useless information for you personally. What matters is a 6-block radius around the address you are considering. If you're looking for neighborhoods where day-to-day life feels steady and predictable, there are several areas that consistently stand out. Mac Groveland and Summit Hill, for example, have a strong community feel. You'll see neighbors walking their dogs in the evening, families out on sidewalks, and generally very low incident reports compared to city averages. Northeast Minneapolis, known for its young professional energy, active street life, and restaurants. This area has a different vibe and is considered one of the most stable and desirable areas in the city. North Loop offers that urban, walkable lifestyle. It's well lit and supported by a strong business corridor. Edina, Plymouth, Woodbury, Maple Grove, these communities consistently show strong safety profiles and are known for top-rated schools. If you're relocating with kids, these areas come up constantly. The know before you go zones. Now, every city has areas where a little more awareness is necessary, and Minneapolis is no different. Parts of North Minneapolis, these areas are improving, but still elevated in crime pockets, and it's hyper block by block. Certain Lake Street corridors, dealing with both historical economic challenges and the added layer of recent federal enforcement activities. This doesn't mean avoid completely. It means understand what's happening before you commit. Areas near some rail stations. Not inherently unsafe, but situational awareness is recommended, especially late at night. Here's the big takeaway. Broad city statistics don't determine your experience here. Your experience will be shaped by the immediate area around your home, sometimes just within a few blocks. And that's where focused neighborhood level insight becomes far more valuable than a citywide headline. Let me give you my genuine verdict as someone who lives and works here in 4 clear points. First, the downward crime trend is real. You're moving into a city that experienced a sharp spike in crime, followed by 3 years of measurable decline. Progress is happening. Don't let anyone dismiss that, including me. Second, the gap from 2018 is also real. If you're moving here, you should know that you're not moving to the Minneapolis of 2017. That city has changed. Some of that change is positive. Some of it requires adjustment. So set your expectations accordingly and choose your neighborhood carefully. Third, the federal situation is a genuine wild card. And I want to be truthful about that. No one, not the mayor, not the MPD, not local journalists, can fully predict how the next 6 to 12 months will unfold here. If you're about to sign a lease or close on a home, it's smart just to keep an eye on how this develops. Fourth and final, neighborhood selection has never mattered more than it does right now. The difference between loving and hating this city often comes down to just a few miles. This is the most important decision you will make in your relocation. Look, I know that not every single one of you watching this has a different situation, different budget, different lifestyle, and of course, a different comfort level. What might feel safe and comfortable for one family might feel completely different for another. And that is exactly why I do what I do. My job isn't to tell you where to live, it's to give you clarity and make sure you have the full picture so you can make the best decision for yourself and your family. If you are seriously considering a move to the Twin Cities and you want someone in your corner who actually understands this market, feel free to reach out. My contact information is linked below. The first conversation is always free, but if you're not ready for that, hey, completely okay. Just hit the subscribe button and stick around. We cover everything on this channel, the neighborhoods, the costs, lifestyle, stuff relocation guides leave out, so that whenever you are ready, you'll know exactly what you're walking into. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Are you considering a move to Minneapolis, Twin Cities area? What's your biggest question right now? Drop it in the comments. I'll take a peek at it, give you a reply back. If this video helped you see the full picture, kindly share it with someone who's been asking the same question. You might just be saving them from making a really big decision based on really incomplete information. I'll see you in the next one.